Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are diving into palette number 3 of the Jaclyn Hill Morphe Vault collection. We're looking at Armed and Gorgeous. Here she is! I can't wait to share with you guys some swatches. I've got demos and I've also got a review on the palette as well. But before we jump into this, make sure you hit that like, thumbs up down below and hit that subscribe button while you're there. I would really appreciate it, and let's go. So just a little bit about the Armed and Gorgeous palette. You can buy this one separately on the Australian Morphe site is $23 at $75 for the whole Vault collection. So you do save a little bit of money if you buy them together versus separately. But if you're only liking a few palettes, $23 isn't a bad price for 10 shadows. Now for me, would I go out and purchase this palette by itself? Look, I think it is probably the most cohesive and well put together palette that I have tried out so far. I have done videos on Ring the Alarm and also Bling Boss. I feel like those ones were lacking certain colors to make a full complete look. I feel like Armed and Gorgeous has probably got the best so far. And we've got a highlight color, we've got a really dark deepening up shade. I would probably like a variation between the 3 oranges in here and between the 2 browns, maybe a brown that was slightly lighter and then a darker one, just so that there was a little bit more of a difference between the 2 shadows. But the standalone palette, I think it's okay. There are definitely things that could have been tweaked, but so far out of the 3 I've tried, I think it's the best. The packaging, it is exactly the same as all of the other palettes from the Jaclyn Hill Vault collection. Obviously we've got the white card in here, and this one has the confetti. It's kind of like a khaki confetti, and when you open up you have a little mirror, and then these are what the shades look like here. So we have a big lot of kind of orange transition-y shades here in Access, Secure, and Agent. We've also got a beautiful green. This is Top Secret down here. It's like a beautiful khaki. We've got 2 deepening up shades in Prowl and Smooth Criminal. We also have these beautiful gold shades here, which is Coin and Classified, and then VIP as a highlight. So I'll zoom you in so you guys can have a look. So since I've done 2 looks using this palette so far, I've kind of given the shades a bit of a workout. I know that there's not a huge amount of kickback in these shadows. A lot of the palettes coming out at the moment have heaps and heaps of kickback. These, barely anything. The one that had the most kickback, I think, were Prowl and Top Secret. But the orangey shades over here, I literally had no kickback, and I'm swirling my brush around in them. Absolutely no kickback at all, which is awesome. The pigmentation is there. You do need to build them up a little bit, in my opinion. These aren't like you pack them on your eye and full on pout. I mean, I do set my lids with a powder, so that might be the reason, but I kind of like shadows that aren't so super intense straight off the bat, so I can kind of build them up. I feel like sometimes I stuff it off with the too pigmented, so I don't mind that. What I do like about this palette is that it has a highlighting shade here in VIP. I do also mix a bit of VIP and Guilt Trip together to create a kind of lighter gold champagne-y highlight. I feel like VIP is a little bit too stark and white for this palette, but joined in with Guilt Trip, I think it's a beautiful highlight combination for your inner corner and brow bone, which is what I've got on at the moment. The shimmers are shimmery. Are they the most foiled metallic shimmers that I've ever used? No. I feel like, especially Classified at the moment, I don't know if you guys can see, but Classified has a little bit of like a hard film over it. When I did my cut crease with it today, I feel like when I went over the wet concealer with that shade, I felt like it just got this like hard coating over it, and it's definitely not showing up as pigmented as I would like. So with that being said, I'm going to swatch this bad boy here so you can see the colors for yourself, and then I'm going to jump into the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette as well and see if we can find some similar shades to compare to. So let's just jump right into that. So the first shade we have is VIP. The second shade we have along is Access. We have Guilt Trip. We have Coin. We have Agent, Top Secret, Smooth Criminal, Secure, Prowl, and lastly we have Classified. And those are all the shades. So the closest thing we have to VIP is probably in Light and Beam. This is in Light here. It's a very similar shade, and then this one here is Beam, which I will pop just here so you guys can see. Beam is definitely a little bit more champagne. In Light is probably a touch closer to VIP, but it isn't as pigmented as VIP. Creamsicle is probably the closest shade to Access, so that is Creamsicle there. It's definitely a lot more orange. It's probably more similar to, I think, Agent, which is this one here. They're probably actually the most similar. Now with any of these gold shades, I feel like Guilt Trip, Coin, and Classified. Out of Guilt Trip, Coin, and Classified, I feel like there's only one shade that's similar, and that is Queen. So I'll just swatch Queen here. Queen is definitely more bronzy and is probably most similar to Classified. I'm actually going to swatch it next to Classified as well so we can see. So that is it swatched there next to Classified. It is still more bronzy, where the Classified is a little bit more of that antique-y kind of goldy color. Again, like I said, Agent is probably most similar to Creamsicle again, so we'll skip that one. Next up we have is Top Secret, and I think it's a very unique shade within the Armed and Gorgeous palette. The only shade which is kind of green is Enchanted, and this one I'm just going to swatch right here. It's definitely more of a forest green though, whereas Top Secret is more of a khaki green, as you can see. Next up we have Smooth Criminal, and I think that Mocha is probably the most similar shade to that one, so I'm going to swatch Mocha. Probably Mocha and Prow, probably the most similar. I see if there's a bit more of a lighter brown. I'm going to swatch Buns just here as well so we can kind of get a comparison. Buns is definitely more ready than Smooth Criminal. Like I said, there's nothing that's super orange in the original Jaclyn Hill palette, so Secure is pretty unique. I feel like Creamsicle is the most similar between those three orange shades within the Armed and Gorgeous palette. Like I said, I think Prow is the most similar to Mocha in the palette, so I've already swatched that one. And then lastly we have Classified up the end here, which we have already swatched with Queen, and like we said, Classified is more of that antique-y gold color. Up close as well, so you can really have a look. So as you guys would have seen from the swatches, some of them swatched better than others. I do think that Top Secret was a little bit of a patchy swatch. When I look at it there, I don't feel like it was a very smooth swatch whatsoever. Now, comparing those shades between the original Jaclyn Hill palette and the Armed and Gorgeous palette was Angela Bright's idea. I will leave her YouTube listed down below if you wanted to check her out. I watched one of her videos and I saw that she did that comparison. So all props to her, but I think it was a really cool idea to see what shades are similar and comparable within the original Jaclyn Hill, because we all know the premise of these palettes were basically the shades that didn't make the cut and didn't make it into the original palette. So with that process, I would have assumed that there would be similar colors within these Vault collections that are comparable to shades within the Jaclyn Hill palette. Next up we have the demos. I've got two demo looks for you. First one is using a little bit more of the oranges and the yellows within the palette, a little bit lighter and kind of a little bit more wearable. And then the second look is obviously what I've got on right now. I wanted to play around with that khaki color and dip into a little bit of the browns as well. So this is the look that I came up with. So let's just jump right into those demos now. Okay guys, first up we are taking the Tarte Shape Tape, and I'm just going to dot this on my eyelid and blend it out with a beauty blender to create a nice blank canvas. And then I'm just going to set it with some pressed powder. This is the Kat Von D Lock-It pressed powder. I'm just setting my eyelid with a fluffy brush. Next up for our transition shade, we are taking the shade Access, and I'm just taking this on a big fluffy brush. I will list all the brushes down below and all the products as well, so you guys can check them out. But any big fluffy brush you have will do, but I'm just blending this in throughout the crease to create a really beautiful yellow transition color. Then I'm going to dip into the shade Secure, and I'm just taking a more tapered blending brush, and I'm going to begin to pack this on the outer and also the inner portions of the eyes, and then blend the kind of excess through the transition. This shade is really going to add a little bit of dimension to the look without deepening it up. Next we're going to cut the crease for our halo eye, but I'm just going to run this along the kind of lash line, and then I'm going to look up, and that will create the kind of line or area where we should be creating the halo or the cut from. So I'm using that as kind of like a guide, if you will. So I'm just going to cut the kind of halo crease using that brush. I'm just taking my time. This is a skill that sometimes can be a little bit hard to kind of master, but just take your time with it. I like to create more of a harsh line along the kind of top middle section of the cut. Then I'm going to feather out the edges of the concealer just with my finger to make sure there's not such a harsh line between the concealer and the eyeshadows. Then for the center spotlight portion, I'm going to take the shade Guilt Trip, and I did start to use this on a flat brush, but I just felt like nothing was working. I spritzed the brush as well, but the payoff wasn't great, so I ended up just switching it to my finger, and I think it worked way better. So yeah, just skip the brush and move on to your finger. But for the cut portion, you do need to use a brush. So I just used something that was more synthetic and a little bit firmer to make sure I got up really high to that cut crease, so it was really precise. Then we're dipping back into the shade Secure, and we're just going to blend out the edges between the halo eye. And then because I wanted to brighten up that spotlight portion a little bit more, I just took a pencil brush with the shade VIP, and I'm just going to kind of place that through that middle portion to create even more of a highlight down the center of the halo look. We're taking Access on a small blending brush, and we are just going to run that along the lower lash line, and then we're taking the shade again Secure, and we're just doing the exact same thing, running that along the lower lash line for added definition. We're dipping into the shade VIP, and we're just going to use that as our highlight today. So picking that up on that same pencil brush we used to apply for the spotlight section of the look, we're going to use that same brush for the inner corners and also our brow bones. Next up, I'm taking my mascara and also a nude pencil, and we're just going to apply those. I'm running the nude eyeliner along the lower waterline to really open up the eyes and make them nice and bright. Then I'm going to apply a quick coat of mascara, and as you can see here, you can really see where it's oxidized, and that kind of line between the spotlight where we applied the concealer is really dark in comparison to the rest of that outer corner. Next up, we're going to be applying false lashes. These are the Minx 2.0 from Socialize, and we're just applying that to the eye, and then we're going to be running a little bit of mascara along the lower lash line as well. Then I'm going to move on to highlight, and I'm taking the shade Sunshine from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dream Glow Kit, and I'm just going to apply that to my cheekbones. And then for lips, we're taking this lip ink from Maybelline. This is one of their Super Stay formulas, and I'm just going to apply that to my lips. And then because I can't stand a matte lip, I'm going in with the All Might Gloss lip gloss from Rimmel. This is in the shade Love Bug, and I'm just going to apply that. And then guys, that is look number 1 finished, and I hope you enjoyed it. Already applied the concealer, and I'm just going to set that down with that same Lock It Loose setting powder all over my eyes with a big fluffy brush. Then we're going in with the shade Access on a large fluffy brush, and we're just going to be smacking that in throughout the transition as our transition shade. I love this yellow shade. It really creates a nice base for the rest of the shades that we are going to use in this look. Next up, we're taking the shade Top Secret. I'm just using that on a more tapered blending brush, and I'm just going to begin to place this in the outer corner. I did have a little bit of trouble really packing on this shade. I didn't feel like it was nearly as pigmented as I wanted to, and I had quite a hard time blending it out and found that it was very patchy, as you can see here. So I just had to really go in and really pack the shade on and then slightly blend it out. I feel like that was the only way that we could get some pigment out of this shade, but I wasn't really happy with the blend, and I would have liked it to blend out better, but such is life, and that's what we're working with. To deepen that out, we're taking the shade Proud, and I'm taking that on a pencil brush, and I'm going to begin to pack that on in the outer corner. I felt like this shade was a lot more pigmented, but again, if you blend it out too much, it kind of just disappears. So it just has to be really liberal with the packing, and then very sparing with the blending. I'm taking that same brush that we used to pack on Top Secret just to blend out Proud, and using a little bit of Top Secret to do that. And then I'm taking a small fluffy brush with a tiny little bit of Access on it just to blend out the edges and to make sure there are no harsh lines. Next up, we are cutting the crease, and I'm taking my Tarte Shape Tape and this Morphe brush. I will again leave all the brushes and products listed down below if you want to check it out, but I'm using this to cut my crease. Crease cutting is a very difficult skill to master, so just take your time and really kind of map out the look that you wanted to go for. If you have slightly hooded eyes, go above your crease, and if you don't have hooded eyes, just more stick to the real normal socket line of your eyes. Next up, we're going to be dipping into the shade Classified. I'm just going to use this with my finger and pack it all over the kind of outer portion of the cut crease area. I wasn't such a fan of the shade, and I kind of got this hard coating over the shade after I ended up using it, and the pigmentation wasn't anything to write home about. I wasn't impressed at all. Then we're going to go in with the shade Coin, and I'm just going to kind of pat that all over the inner portion of the eye. I found the pigmentation of the shade a lot better than Classified, and it's a really pretty color blended in over the top of Classified as well. Then we're going to go in and kind of blend out that transition area just with a tiny little bit more of Top Secret, just to make sure there are no harsh lines. I was again getting that demarcation, that oxidization of the concealer as well, so I really wanted to go in and try and blend that out. We're going to be deepening up the outer corner with a mixture of Top Secret and Brow to hopefully try to get rid of that weird patchiness that is happening. So after all that, this is what we're looking like. It's still not perfect, but it's as good as I'm going to get it, so I'm just going to do the other eye off camera to save some time. We're then running Top Secret under the eye with a small pencil brush and then defining the lower lash line on an angled brush with the shade Brow and just stamping that along the lower lash line. Next up, we're going to be applying lashes and also some eyeliner to my upper lash line, my waterline, and also my lower lash line. And then we're going to move on to highlighting. I'm taking a mixture of VIP and Guilt Trip on a small dome brush, and I'm just going to be applying that to my inner corners and also my brow bone. I think VIP would have just been too stark, so I really enjoyed blending it in with Guilt Trip to create a bit more of a champagne-y highlight. Next up, for a bit of fun, we're going in with the Too Faced Glitter Glue and this Festival Face loose gold leaf stuff. I don't know what it's called, but it looks really cool. So I'm just going to be applying a little bit of the glitter glue to my kind of inner corners areas with a brush, and then I'm going to use some tweezers and I'm going to pick up a little bit of the gold leaf and just kind of place that in the inner corner area just as much as I want. I'm kind of creating as much of it in the inner corner and then fading it out towards the brow area as it goes out towards the outer corner of the eye to create a bit of a gradient effect that you guys will see. So just keep applying as you want. You can put in as little or as much or wherever you liked, but I just really liked the concept of this and I thought it was a really, really cool idea. So yeah, and then we're going to go on with the rest of the face. I'm going to be taking the shade Champagne Pop from the Jaclyn Hill. This is like the Becca face collab. So I'm just taking Champagne Pop and just applying that to my cheekbones as my highlight. I'm also applying a little bit to my Cupid's bow and the tiniest little bit on the tip of my nose as well. Then we're going in with this blush shade and I'm just taking it on an angled blush brush, just applying it to my cheeks. I went a little bit overboard, as you can see. So I just took my makeup sponge with no extra product on it and just kind of tapped over the area to kind of dull it down so it wasn't so clownish. Then we're going to go in with my lipstick today. We are taking the number 42 from Rimmel. It's a nice pale pink and I think it will really complement this look and not really take away from it. So applying that to my lips, and then I'm going to be taking a little bit of the Rimmel All My Gloss Love Bug lip gloss and I'm just applying that to my lips. Then because I wanted a little bit more bronze, I'm taking my Hourglass bronzer and just applying that with a big fluffy brush just to kind of warm up my complexion a little bit. And then that is the finished second look, something a little bit different. I haven't really played around with any kind of loose gold leaf before, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Okay, so what did we think of the palette? So based on performance and the shadows within this palette, I feel like it's the best so far. I've already tried out the Ring the Alarm palette and also Bling Boss. Ring the Alarm was alright, but there was a few patchy AF shades in there, which meant that I had to dip into the original Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette to be able to create a cohesive look, and it probably wasn't my favorite. Bling Boss was like a train wreck. There are very similar shades within this entire palette. I wish we could have swapped out one of the oranges for something different, and I also feel like the browns are maybe a little bit too similar. Maybe something a little bit lighter or darker would have been better. I feel like they're very similar shades, but like we said, they are the rejects for the original one, so they had to go in a color story somewhere. But out of the three, this is probably my favorite, then Armed and Gorgeous, and then lastly Bling Boss. Now the next palette that we look at will be the Dark Magic palette, and I'm really looking forward to testing out those blues and really dark, deep, sultry colors. So make sure that you are subscribed to my channel so you don't miss out on that video. Make sure you check out the rest of the Vault Collection reviews that I've already done. I'll list them down below so you can check them out. So guys, that is all for the Armed and Gorgeous palette. Let me know your thoughts down below. Have you tried it out? What do you think? I would love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave me a like, thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my new videos. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week, and I will see you all in my next video. Mwah! Bye guys.